Haunted Chronicles presents. I agreed to test a sleep tracking app for my university. It keeps sending me recordings of myself talking to someone. Chapter 1. The experiment when the psychology department emailed students about a sleep tracking study. I signed up before I even finished reading the description. $50 per week, free coffee in the morning lab, and all I had to do was wear a smartwatch, install a beta app called Somnus, and let it record my sleep patterns for 6 nights. Easy money. The first night the setup was simple. Place the phone near my pillow, turn on night mode recording, and sleep. The app said it used the microphone to monitor breathing and movement, then generated AI sleep summaries. When I woke up, it showed a neat little graph and a single line of text. You talked in your sleep for 13 seconds. I laughed. I'd always been a restless sleeper. On the second night, it logged 32 seconds. On the third, 54. Each morning, I could press play and hear myself muttering nonsense. Half-dream phrases like, "Turn off the light," or "I'm fine." Nothing unusual. But by the fourth night, the playback changed. The audio was different, longer. It started with my usual mumbling, then a pause, and a second voice whispered, very close to the phone, "I told you not to wake up yet." I froze. The voice wasn't mine. I emailed the research assistant, Dr. Patel, asking if the app used simulated voices for analysis. He replied, "No. Only your own recordings. Could be interference or data corruption." Still, I couldn't shake the unease. I listened again, headphones in. After that whisper came something else. A faint rustling, like sheets moving. And then me replying in a groggy tone I didn't remember saying, "I'm trying." That night, I put the phone farther from the bed. At 3:04 a.m., I woke suddenly, heart pounding, convinced someone had just said my name. The room was empty. Only the glow of the phone screen lit the dark. The app was still recording, timer blinking red. I didn't listen to the file until morning. At the 7-minute mark, right after a long stretch of quiet breathing, there it was again. A voice, lower than before, whispering right next to the microphone. "You're getting better at staying asleep." And then my voice, soft and drowsy. "Thank you." Chapter 2. The recordings. The next morning, I deleted Somnus. At least, I tried to. When I held the icon, the screen froze for a second. Then the phone vibrated twice, and the app reappeared on the home page as if it had never moved. No option to uninstall. I told myself it was a software bug, but the logo on the icon had changed. The pale blue crescent moon now had an eye carved in its center. That night, I didn't open the app, didn't press record. Still, at 2:56 a.m., the phone woke itself. The red timer blinked, recording. The next morning's notification read, "New audio available, session 5. Total duration, 2 hours, 17 minutes. 2 hours. I hadn't been awake more than once that night, or at least I didn't think so. When I played it, the first 30 minutes were just breathing and bed springs. Then my voice, "You're back?" A pause. Then a second voice. Not whispering this time, almost cheerful, like a friend trying to calm me down. "You called me, remember?" That's how this works. I skipped ahead. More silence. Then a long sequence of footsteps, bare feet on tile, and a door hinge creaking. At 1 hour and 12 minutes, my voice again. "Where are we now?" The other voice laughed softly. "Inside." I stopped the playback and stared at the wall. There was a faint mark beside the desk. Half moon-shaped scratches, 4 in a row. as if fingernails had dug into the plaster. I didn't remember ever sleepwalking. That afternoon, I went back to Dr. Patel's lab. He looked exhausted, dark rings under his eyes. When I told him about the recordings, he shook his head. "You shouldn't have kept using it. We terminated that trial weeks ago. Somnus was pulled for ethical concerns. I asked what concerns. He wouldn't say. He just added quietly, 'Delete it if you can. If you can't, don't let it record when you're alone.' That night, I powered off the phone completely and shoved it into a drawer. At 3:01 a.m., I woke to a soft light glowing through the desk wood. The drawer vibrated once, then a notification sound. Ping. On the screen, even with the phone still off, a new file appeared. Recording 6. Conversation continued. I pressed play. It began with a male voice I'd never heard before, close and steady, speaking as if reading from a script. "Let's practice staying awake while you dream." And then, my own voice, soft and obedient. "Okay." Chapter 3. The Dream Studies. The next morning, I went straight to the psychology building. The research lab door was locked, the lights off. Through the small glass panel, I could see boxes stacked on tables. Computers unplugged, chairs overturned like someone had cleared out in a hurry. A yellow notice was taped to the wall. Somnus Research Program. Suspended indefinitely. Effective August 22nd, 2023. That was 3 weeks ago, the same week I signed up. I found Dr. Patel's office down the hall, door half open. He was packing papers into a box, hands shaking slightly. When he saw me, he flinched. Not surprised, but guilty. "You shouldn't be here," he said quietly. "They're collecting everything today." I asked him what Somnus really did. He hesitated, then sighed. It wasn't just tracking. It was testing a neural feedback loop. The app doesn't just record. It plays tones while you sleep, adjusting to your REM cycles. The goal was to make people lucid dream on command. I stared at him. "So, it talks back?" He nodded slowly. "Theoretically. It uses your own subconscious voice to stabilize the dream. We called it the mirror function. But the algorithm started generating new responses. Sentences the users never said. I told him about my recordings. He froze. "Then it's still connected," he whispered. "That means the link wasn't terminated." "You're in phase 3. I asked what that meant. He looked at me, eyes wide, desperate. "You might not be fully awake anymore." Before I could ask another question, his phone buzzed. He looked at the screen and went pale. "I have to go. Don't open the app again. Don't listen to the files." He left the office, almost running. I sat there, heart pounding, until I noticed something blinking on his desk. A small flash drive labeled Somnus_prototype_logs. I pocketed it. That night I plugged it into my laptop. Hundreds of audio files appeared, labeled by user IDs. I opened the first one, static, then a faint humming sound, rhythmic, human-like. The next file had 2 voices. One said, "Breathe in." The other replied, "I'm awake now." I opened another, the same pattern, user after user, until I reached a file with my initials, JM-047. My hand shook as I hit play. Subject 47 entering feedback phase, Dr. Patel's voice said. Connection stable, loop self-sustaining. Then a sound I'll never forget. Me breathing, followed by my voice, whispering something I couldn't remember saying. "It's quieter down here. I can stay." The clip ended with a faint echo. The same line, repeated in another voice. My own voice, distorted, coming from beneath the recording. I can stay. I pulled out the flash drive, threw it across the room, and shut the laptop. The screen stayed black for a moment, then flickered on by itself. Across the center of the screen, in white text, appeared one sentence. You left me mid-conversation. Chapter 4. The Reconnection. I didn't sleep that night. I left my phone on the kitchen counter and stayed awake on the couch, trying to convince myself that it was all code, hallucination, stress. Anything but what it sounded like. At 2:58 a.m., the phone lit up on its own. No notifications, just the app's icon glowing. That pale blue crescent with the black eye in the middle, pulsing like it was breathing. I unplugged it from the wall, still glowing. Then a new banner appeared on the screen. Session Reconnection. Ready? Accept emails. Decline. I didn't touch it, but the accept button blinked twice and pressed itself. The screen went black. Then the speaker hissed, faint static spilling into the silence. A voice came through, low, calm, but closer this time. You shouldn't have stopped, Jonah. I felt my stomach drop. It knew my name. We were making progress. I whispered, Who are you? There was a pause, like it was smiling through the wire. You, but quieter. The phone camera clicked on. I saw my reflection, tired dark circles under my eyes. But the delay was wrong. My reflection blinked a second too late. Then it spoke, even though I hadn't moved my lips. You sleep here now. I slammed the phone face down on the table, heart hammering. It buzzed violently, almost alive. When it stopped, I flipped it over. A new message glowed against the cracked glass. Audio file saved, Session 7. I didn't want to, but I pressed play. The recording started with my breathing, slow and uneven. Then a faint dragging noise, like something being pulled across the floor. The second voice spoke again, right next to the microphone. It's almost morning. Time to change places. Then my own voice answered, half asleep. I'm ready. The last sound was a door closing, followed by silence that went on too long. The timer kept counting even after the audio ended, ticking upward. 7:01, 7:02, 7:03. I unplugged the phone and threw it into the sink. But when I turned on the tap, the screen lit up under the water, the blue eye still glowing. The speaker hissed one final line through the bubbles. Don't fight it. You're almost home. Chapter 5. The final recording. When the sun came up, I packed a bag. The phone was still dripping in the sink, screen dark now, but I could feel the faint hum in the metal basin when I touched it, like a small heartbeat pulsing through the pipes. I left campus. I didn't even lock the door. I just drove. By noon, I reached the next town and checked into a cheap roadside motel. No Wi-Fi, no smart TVs, just silence. I bought a disposable phone at a gas station and called the psychology department. The number was disconnected. Every trace of the Somnus research program was gone. Website deleted, faculty pages wiped. That night, I tried to sleep for the first time in 2 days. No screens, no recording devices, just darkness. At 3:11 a.m., I woke to a sound, a soft ping, the same tone Somnus used for notifications. It came from the bedside table. My old phone sat there, perfectly dry, screen glowing. Across the display, welcome back. Session 8 in progress. The app had reinstalled itself. The microphone icon blinked. I whispered, What do you want from me? The speaker hissed. My own voice answered. Not a playback, but speaking now, Liv, over the static. To stay awake where you sleep. Then came breathing. 2 sets, mine and something slower, deeper. The screen camera switched on. For a second, I saw my reflection in the dark motel room. Eyes open, face pale. And behind me, another figure lying in the bed. Same shape, same face, asleep. I turned, but the bed was empty. The reflection blinked and smiled. "We've switched, Jonah. You record now?" The screen went black. I dropped the phone and stumbled outside. The night air felt heavy, thick, like breathing through water. Every streetlight flickered in perfect rhythm. 1, 2, 3. Then buzzed with the same sound as the app's timer. Somewhere far off, a voice whispered through the static in my head. "Somnus means sleep. But you're not asleep anymore." The motel clerk found the room empty the next morning. On the table was a single item. A phone plugged into the wall, screen glowing faintly. A new notification flashed every 60 seconds. "New audio available. Session 9. When police technicians opened the file, there was only breathing. Then a voice, calm, curious, speaking from the other side of the microphone. "How long have you been listening? Sleep studies, dream research, neural mapping. They all promise to understand the human mind. But sometimes, when we listen too closely to what our brains do in the dark, something else starts listening back." If this story kept you awake tonight, like, comment, and subscribe to Haunted Chronicles. Because every experiment begins with one subject who says, "Sure, I'll try it." Stay aware, stay alive, and remember, when your phone says recording in progress, make sure you're the one who pressed record.